Good morning and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. And today, well, we are joined by our resident expert from the sporting press, of course, Declan O'Donoghue. We'd gone through the heats last week. We're now going to look back on the opening round heats, and indeed, we'll take a glance perhaps at the second round heats. And the exiled Dub is not with us. He's exiled. So instead, we have his partner in crime, another Yall maestro. Barry Drake is joining us as part of the team here this morning on this Talking Dogs on a Monday. Gentlemen, a great Oaks already. Declan, we were excited about it last week, but I think we've even more reason to be excited now. Stunning displays, most notably the likes of the defending champion again, of course, Ballymacbeanie coming back in such fine fashion, but she won't have things all her own way. Some brilliant performances from start to finish.
Yeah. I mean, she was superb. And I think we often take our great trainers for granted. It's as if the other Oaks was on last week and she just turned up and again. It's as if she hasn't been away. It was an incredible performance. Seeing as she hasn't had a race for quite some time. But we saw in a solo trial the week before she was fine, but we all know how misleading solo trials can be. So it's very good. But Clonmel Sky got us off to a great start. And through the rest of the night, I would think every heat winner impressed. Barry Rossa, it's been difficult to pick the winner at this stage, but obviously the defending champ is right in the mix, and she is the one to beat, I would think.
Yeah. Barry, was there something that caught your eye, or obviously is it the obvious ones again?
Oh, definitely. There were so many powerful and classy performances throughout the night. I think there's probably half a dozen bitches here who wouldn't be out of place in the Irish Greyhound Derby later this year. It's going to take some winning this year, but great to see, obviously, Ballymacbeanie back with a bang. Pat Dobbs, of course, part of that ownership was in the winner's enclosure in Newmarket Racecourse that day, and I'm sure he was delighted with her performance along with Ballymacgorna over the course of the night. Yeah, but look, it's a fascinating event once more this year, and we've got some really classy leading candidates for outright glory.
Yeah, we sure do. I'll tell you what we'll do. Because we have so much to get through, we'll start at the start. All 12 heats, we'll fly through them, and then we'll try and get a few moments on the second round. And we might even have a little glance at the Produce Stakes, of course, also featured in Saturday night. The opening heat of the Sporting Press online edition Irish Oaks, and it was Clonmel Sky. Declan, you've already mentioned her. This was truly professional. The Cork Oaks winner already, of course, and now she's a leading competitor in the Irish Oaks itself. For Graham Holland, flashed out, made all 16 seconds to the third bend. It was to set the tone for what was to follow.
It was. If she is to win it outright, she had to win this heat and win it well, and she did it. It was very polished, very professional, business-like, an excellent performance, and she is certainly right up there with the leading contenders now. No doubt about it. And she represents perfect connections, obviously, as well, who are well used to winning big trophies,
Yeah, of course, the Connections won the Easter Cup at Shelbourne Park about 2 years ago now with Clonmel.
Yeah.
But Barry, you, of course, more than familiar with Kevin O'Brien. Clonmel Blay or Clonmel Sky you're also more than familiar with. She's your Cork Oaks heroine. It was a professional display. Nothing less than you'd have expected, I'd imagine, given the competition, perhaps.
Yeah, look, great to see her win for Kevin O'Brien. He sponsored the recent stake below in Curraheen Park, and Clonmel Blaze. It's got open 5-2-5. She made the most of a good opportunity from trap number one. I think everything was in her favour on Saturday night. She was no match for Scooby Princess recently below in Limerick. She's a very talented lady, and she could go a couple of rounds.
Yeah, she could go well. And behind her, Tullivan Beyonce, I actually thought did catch the eye a little bit. Didn't have the cleanest of passages, but did come through 4-second spot. Now, granted, she's beaten 5.5 lengths. Old Treasure and Miss Minnie Moll was running on late in the day to qualify in fourth spot. But again, 16 seconds to the third bend for Clonmel Sky. That was impressive. On so to the second heat, and it was the defending champion, Ballymacbeanie. She faced what potentially was a treacherous draw drawn between the likes of Ballymacgart and Right So Bell. She made light work of the task. It was aided by the fact that Ballymacgart didn't get a flying start. She showed plenty of speed to get into second spot around that bend, but Ballymacbeanie just truly brilliant. I was surprised it was only a 2:14 Declan. It looked quicker to the eye, but 16 seconds to that third bend, 28-23. Not a bad comeback.
But brilliant. I thought some of the early sections were disappointing on Saturday, as you say, from what we saw. But look, it was a very good performance, not taken away from Ballymacgart, who has been away for just as long. and who missed the start and yet was second at the first bend, which is fair shifting too, but no doubt the winner. I mean, as I said, it's just like we took up where we left off with her. You know, it was brilliant, absolutely, and. You know, there were faster winners on the night, but that was her first race back, and she will definitely shave a bit off that time, which is quite respectable anyway. 23 is fair moving, you know. Yeah, she was very, very good. But as we said, there were so many other impressive winners, and next Saturday should be good.
Yeah, it should be very good. It's worth pointing out it was her first run since she's turned 2 years of age. You know, like she's been a puppy up to this point. She's now starting to probably come into herself and develop, you know, which is really worrying. You know, like 28, 23 the other night. And as you say, Declan, it looked like she just took off where she ended last December. There's still potentially 3 or 4 lengths left in this lady. That's worrying for her rivals.
It is, but she wouldn't need to improve much more than where she is. I mean, you know, she was very good. She was very young. It was easy to forget how young she was last season. You know, but look, she's in top order again now, no question.
Yeah, Barry, she probably won't have an awful lot more racing after the Sporting Press Irish Oaks. That the Pat and Alan have suggested that, but we should really enjoy her while she's around, because the other night was just highlighted all her various qualities. Good starter, good early speed. She's big down the back. And, you know, it's worth pointing out, in the last 50 yards, she probably pulled out 2 lengths in Ballymac Art. Like, she really gets to that winning line. I'd say 550 yards would be no problem to this lady.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's quite scary to think that that there's more to come going in that performance. And it was such a tough heat. So many talented performers in the race. And, I think everything has kind of worked out well for her. She came in season at the back end of last year. Declan Byrne has got her back at the top of her form. And, it's exciting times ahead, no doubt. And, she's very likely a race. She's ran most of her races in the Oaks, which is, unbelievable itself. But yeah, look, I absolutely love her. I think she just has that touch of early pace that maybe some of the other leading players mightn't have. And I think she's going to take some stopping in this competition again this year.
Yeah, you make a good point there about all her races coming in the Oaks. By the time she's finished in this Oaks, and who knows, she could well be a dual Oaks winner. The vast majority of her races would have come in various Oaks challenges. Right So Bell was back in 3rd spot. She did stand out perhaps as the best of the rest. And Ashfield Doll was the 4th qualifier there. Just a point on Ballymac Art. She did miss the kick. She's capable of flying start. She ran so well to the last sort of 50 yards or so, blew up a little bit. She was coming back from a tendon injury on a toe. It'd be interesting to see how forward she comes for this. Very interesting to see that she's down to trial at Toaster tomorrow. So they're obviously sort of just keeping that in back of their mind. If she happen to go out or something next week, they may run her at Toaster rather than, obviously, than having her sitting on her bench at home.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if when you had seen the last few yards, she's just two sprint trials is all she has on her card. So
my point was, I think she could yet develop into one of the top 2 or 3 bitches in this Oaks. And I think if things go well for her in the next few weeks, she could well be there final night with a real good chance.
Absolutely.
Big run in defeat. On so to the 3rd heat, and it's hard not to be taken by this lady, Front of Manny. She did 28.29, and she's upwards of 5-6 lengths off the pace at the second bend. She is just an incredibly fast lady. Barry, we'll start with you this time. Front of Manny, how is it? How do you enjoy watching this lady? Because I know one thing, I can't take my eyes off her.
Yeah, well, I've been watching her now for a good number of weeks, and I've been listening to you singing about her as well. And she's just so powerful, isn't she? Down that back straight, it just she just takes off, and that was another vintage performance on Saturday night. Robert Gleeson will be excited about his chances of outright glory, and she's going to be there with a big say, no doubt.
Yeah, Declan, I made the point the other night in Talking Dogs TV that the hotter this Oaks gets towards the latter stages, probably the better it is going to suit Front of Manny, because she'll have these 4 or 5 early speedsters probably gone, and she'll have her chance to pick her own spots in behind and get at them. And once you know yourself, once all the early pacers can't lead, well, once 2 or 3 of them don't lead, they'll sort of go backwards. This lady coming forwards, it's going to need a bomb to knock this one out.
She's a once-off, actually. She's very exciting. Like the way she tracked the other night. She moved in sharply for such a wide runner, which will keep her out of trouble, and she'll keep getting her box, which is brilliant going forward. But she cut in at the 3rd bend on the inside, And that was a very clever move. Now, it may not be as clever next Saturday. She could well have 3 in front of her at the same place now. And she wanted to stay wide, I would say, if it comes to that. But like Barry was talking about Derby contenders, I mean, I have her and Billy Steva on my Derby shortlist. I mean, that's how good she is. It's not her ideal trip, this 525. There is no getting away from that, you know. But she is some tracker, and she's a joy to watch. You know, we always try to compare dogs with ones we've seen before. I can't really put her in with anyone else. She's brilliant. You know, she just has her own way of doing things, but she's good track sense as well. Like, she isn't all about pace. You know, she can gets around the track well. That was very good tracking on Saturday night. She hasn't got the early yards, so there's no point in joking about that, and it probably isn't going to happen now, you know. But by God, she's got everything else. Yes.
Yeah, the way she cut the gap down into the third bend so quickly, so swiftly, was just, it was a joy to watch.
Oh yeah, she from the second bend, you knew she was going to win. You know, and that's a good choice, and a very good pup in front of her. I have to say, Ivy Magnet. I mean, she's only raced 4 or 5 times. She could be anything. You know, she really could. And if she keeps getting out like that and getting in front like that, there won't always be a front of money coming after her. You know?
I know it is actually, though, when you think about what we've said about Ivy Magnet, how impressed we have been by her, Declan. The fact that she had 5 lengths in front of Manny the second bend, and she's beaten 5 by her, just highlights front of Manny's brilliance. You know, less than Ivy Magnet's downfall. It's just the fact that front of Manny is so brilliant and so sensationally fast with a clear run.
That's right. Yeah, she did, and the way she went by her at the third bend. I mean, that was good, clever tracking. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we've seen the third bend in Shelbourne trying to pass on the inside. For any tracker, is dangerous. For a wide runner like her to take it on. But she did it. She knew she'd do it, and she was gone. It was all over after that. You know. Brilliant.
I suppose you could say with a pitch like this, it was her 13th career start, but she's probably gained more experience in those 13 starts than most runners could have in 20 or 25, because all her running is generally done in company, coming through crowded. You know, she's learned the hard way a lot of the ways. You know, you ask yourself how she'd been beaten 7 times. It's easy to know why she'd be beaten 7 times, because she's not getting to the front early. She's finding it in traffic at the wrong times, but she's all of a sudden, as you said, developed that track craft, and the pace just seems to be getting better. You know, that's the worrying thing. She does seem actually to be getting faster.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind her being beaten 7 times, because she's not running over her best trip. Yeah, and she's always at top level. And there's always exceptional early pacers in front of her. So she has a job to do every night. I mean, she is one for betting purposes that she could be putting the house on, you know what I mean? Because she leaves herself with something to do. But my God, she's so much ability, and she's a joy to watch.
Yeah, she sure is. Just a couple there. Ivy Magnet second. Kishlon Amelia, who's been running very, very well for Gavin and Orla Nolan, was third. And Kitty's Roddick was back and fourth. We lost Breton Averill, who would have been seen as, an outside chance to go to the likes of a semi-final or final. I'm afraid it's not to be for her. And it's all over. No luck in running. She ended up finishing last of the 6.
She looks like the winner. She looks one needs a longer trip to be at her best. Yeah.
No question about that. On to Heat 4, a lady that we spoke about last week, Declan, Bella Medina Roxy. She's very promising. She's in October 19. She's still very, very young. She showed real promise around Newbridge. And then, of course, in the early rounds of the Conan Annie Kirby Memorial, Bella Medina Roxy. She was slow into stride. She was only sort of baddish, 5th into the bend. For a wide seed, she didn't look like a wide seed. Does that make sense? Off the second bend, everywhere she got room, she went in, and she did all her challenging up the inside. She went around the inside at the 3rd and 4th bends. She doesn't move off the fence up the home straight. I know if she was mine, I'd probably change her seating, but I'd be very happy with the pace she showed.
Yeah, and Ballycown Lexi made a race for it. She did 2:06, and we're just saying how most of the sections were very disappointing, but 2:06 was a very good start by her. I had the winner about 4th at the first bend, 4th, but in contention. But at the same time, the one, it was a tough enough heat. It will get tougher for as she goes through it. But she doesn't have a great strike rate yet. But she's getting better, and as you say, she tracked cleverly. I wouldn't mind the seeding, and probably middle seed might suit her a little bit better. But she could be one of these ones can just pick wherever she wants to go, and she's getting experience all the time. It was a good performance, certainly it was, and never forget it was her first time in Shelbourne, and that's always a big ask,
Of course. Barry, like Declan said, her strike rate's not great. She does perform behind Explosive Boys, Sing Along Sally, Bombardier. She's been racing in hot company, but there's no question she has an engine, and they can start thinking about bigger and better things with this lady.
Yeah, she's loads of ability. Look, I know you've been talking about her on these previous podcasts during the Conor Kirby below in Limerick. Her first start around Shelbourne Park, it was really, really impressive. My only concern would be with her. I think she needs to start trapping better. She was pretty much the same below in Limerick. Tardy starts were putting her in trouble. But look, she's lightly raced, no doubt. There's more to come. She's only an October puppy, and I wouldn't mind having her.
Yeah, certainly not. Would you run her as a wide?
No, definitely not. I'd probably, as Declan said, I'd try middle next time. She doesn't look like a wide seat runner at all, and there's probably a good chance that she might start breaking better as well from the middle.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Just behind her, Diva Deborah, I thought caught the eye, Declan. She ran on very strongly. She did the same the previous week. If you look back at High View Secure, she was trying to pick up, and it looked like she was going to get to her at one point around the bottom two bends. But High View Secure, as we've seen again on Saturday night, she does kick on again up the home straight. Diva Deborah did run on well. She seems to be coming back to herself, coming back for each run. She has a 28.49 in her card in Newbridge. So just one to keep an eye on.
Definitely, and again, one who will thrive over further. No doubt. Yeah. Good performance.
Yeah, and we mentioned the early speed of Ballycount Lexi, and Tiger in Tempo was in fourth. Tiger in Tempo, who does have form over 750 yards. It looks like, she's going to be badly outpaced into the corner in most of these Oaks heats. So she's one for the future, perhaps over further. On to Heat 5, the Sporting Press Online edition, Irish Oaks. And this was one of the heats that actually cut up a little bit. 4 and 6 were both missing. Kildallan, Pearl and Me Hope. 4 was replaced by a youngster called Black Eyed Alice, who really did equip herself very well, I think you'll agree, Declan. But Billy's Diva, despite charging boxes, she's probably too fresh in herself, 5 weeks off. She charged the traps. She hesitated for a stride on the bend. It was more so just out of track sense than anything else. It was probably a good maneuver. She switched wide down the back and just went. It took her a few strides longer than I thought it would to get past the leader, but I think the leader is a really nice type, Black Eyed Alice.
Yeah, I would agree on both. That's Kevin Lossey's one. I mean, she was running, I think, was it the previous Tuesday night or something? I mean, she's very good. She's only probably the winner. Yeah, but this is the thing with the winner. This is not her trip. 525 is not Billy Steve's trip, and that's the one provision you have with her all the time. I can't wait to see her going in the Derby, for example. But look, she did it. She won, and she won well, and she's outstanding. She has pace to burn. As you say, she tracks well also, but she will a bit like as Barry was saying with the previous winner. Her braking is a bit hit and miss.
Yeah, I think she's more hit than miss now, to be honest. I think she did charge the other night, and whereas I know front of Manny and stuff like that, you could say it's probably not her trip. I think Billy's Diva is more than equipped to run well in an Oaks. Barry, Billy's Diva, whatever about her trip, there's no question about her pace.
Unbelievable. She's been running against the best greyhounds in the country now for about a year or so. And, she done what we expected that she would do on Saturday night. It looked a really good opportunity. She'll have much tougher assignments in the coming weeks. And, you're on about maybe Billy's Diva, Declan Lewis, maybe 550 yards would be her ideal distance. And I think that can be said for quite a few in this competition, the likes of Robert Gleason's Greyhound, Scooby Princess, and you kind of get positive feedback on Ballymac Art earlier, and there is a Greyhound that could be a huge player if she gets back to some of her form last year when she was showing flying early pace. I don't think there's that many flying starters in the competition this year, especially towards the fancy runners at the head of the market. So look, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, indeed. Behind Billy's Diva, we've mentioned Black Eyed Alice, really eye-catching run. Corner House Lady, she must be a joy to own. She's been quite a star for them, Declan. She was a Lee Strand winner in the past. She's October 17. She's probably in the last sort of season of her career, but, she's just one of those ladies. She always runs her race.
She could get through to the final. I mean, she is one of those, and she runs every week. She loves racing. She tries racing. She doesn't have to break, but she can break. As you say, she'd be lovely one to own. She is highly consistent, and as you get to the latter stage of these competitions, experience is no bad thing to have on your side.
And so true is trapping ability. That's one thing she has. She never misses it.
Absolutely.
Barry, we'll give you a final line in this one because Black Malibu was back in fourth spot. Didn't happen for her the other night, but she clearly can run, given her latest line of form in yaw.
Yeah, that's right. That was a remarkable run. She hit the front very early on that night when she produced that stunning performance in Yall. In previous times, she'd be coming from well off the place and doing flashy performances. So whether she can back that up again going forward will be interesting to see. Because as you know, when a real strong runner gets loose on the front and a lively track, you expect them to go very fast. But I'd say it was probably her first run around the track. I'd be surprised if she had time to get a trial in. But yeah, look, ran well. She's a very classy lady, and hopefully she can go a bit better next week.
Cool. We move on to Heat 6. This was one of the sort of head-scratching heats prior to the round. Declan, we knew there was strength in the inside in Battle Cry and Rockland Swift. We had mentioned that Crossfield Fina did have a couple of decent lines of form, including that 28.68 trial. She looked a nice type out front here. She was probably, how was the term? She was probably flattered a bit in the early yards because there wasn't an awful lot of early speed. It looked like she was flying into the bend. Now, she did do a 2:08, 16:13, but probably won't be leading quite as easy in heats to come.
Well, she's only raced 7 times. I would think she's one of the ones that are going to improve. I think I was impressed with her. I have to say, as you say, it didn't look one of the outstanding heats, but there were some pretty good greyhounds in it at the same time. To beat the likes of them does take some doing, especially for one so inexperienced. No, I would mark her up. I think she could improve as she goes on. She broke with them, and I think she's a steady improver.
Yeah, she did show good early speed, but as I just said, I'm just not so sure the early speed was quite as it looked. But there was nothing wrong with the way she moved down the back straight, and she stayed on right to the line. Rockland Swift got after her. She's very strong, as we know. She couldn't quite get there because Crossfield Fina kept running to the line, and the clock was there, Barry, 28.42. An awful lot to like about this lady. She's limited enough experience in Dublin, but it was a fine run. She had put it up to Explosive Boy in one of the rounds of the National Puppy Stake, worth pointing that out.
Yeah, that's right. And she was very impressive below in Tralee as well last time. She showed plenty of early speed, winning 28.55. So she's definitely, a lively player going forward. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more really good performance from her in the coming weeks.
Rockland Swift, Declan, you like this lady. She's strong. She's very inexperienced. It's better to come from her September 19. Whether she's sharp enough for this oak, she's another one that wants a bit further.
Yeah, and she's very inexperienced, and that is going to come against at some stage. You would think, but yeah, absolutely, she's exciting. She finished ahead of Battle Cry, to take second. Was behind who I think is a good winner, and yeah, a lot of positives on your fifth race. Very good, yes.
You mentioned Battle Cry there. She stayed on well in third spot, and Paradise Asia was back in fourth. Moving on. Heat 7 of the Sporting Press online edition, Irish Oaks, and it was one of the heats where it looked like Ballymacornis to win, but she really did take it by the scruff of the neck, Declan. This lady absolutely exploded from traps. No question, the fastest start of the night.
Yeah, I like this one very much, and obviously in Limerick, I was only watching it on video from Shelbourne, but she impressed me in Limerick as well. And I thought she was one of the ones with a great chance in the final down there. She was very good here, great early, and very, very impressive. Yeah, there was a bit of bunching, shuffling, and shoving behind, and all the rest of it, but it didn't matter. She was ahead, she was gone. That's a very good. She is a potential winner, actually, I would think.
I was seeing things that perhaps weren't there, but just off the second bend, as it went around the second bend, she seemed to take a little stumble. She wasn't overly fluent on one or two of the bends, so there's better still to come from her. A return to Shelbourne Park. We know she runs the place well, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But as you say, Declan, she keeps coming forward. She's only July 19. She's so well bred. She
is, and that 2:02 section stands up on the night. She would have led in any heat actually on the night, and she's been racing good company in the Clonmel here. No, she's very good. She's very good. Yeah.
Barry, when you punt one, and you're just praying for him to make a start like that, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'd be rooting for her. I like to see the likes of, Pat Dobbs. I think Patsy Cosgrave is involved in her as well. And, I've been speaking to Damien Gleeson who has been putting strings together out in Dubai. Damien more Greyhound Nutrition. So yeah, look, I like to see the horse racing boys coming over and getting involved in our great sport as well. But as a possible winner, I'll probably get killed for saying this now. I don't think she'll win the competition at all. She's a very, very good bitch, but I think she'll be found wanting when it comes to the nitty grit at the end of the competition. But look, Declan Byrne is doing a fabulous job with his string. He's a very, very, very talented trainer. But as a possible winner, not for me. So lads, I hope you're recording this now and putting it away for when she wins the competition.
All I know is if she gets to the final and does a 2:02, it won't be 2 million in front of her, Barry.
Yeah, look, we'll see. I'm putting my neck in the block.
No, listen, that's fine. We don't want anyone sitting on the fence. That's grand. I do enough fence sitting for everyone. Razzle Dazzle Maya was in second, beaten 5 lengths. She's been a great servant for them. Declan, she's a strong runner. I still don't know what her best trip is because she sometimes gets outpaced into the corner over further. But in this sort of company, when she does hold her own into that bend, she is very strong. She runs well in second. Old Fort Lockett was third and Highview Lemon back and forth. There's no Oaks winners in this apart from Ballymacorner, perhaps much to Barry's disbelief, but yeah, a lot to like about the winner.
Yeah, I think the third as well was on. It's only about her fourth race, is it? Old Fort Lockett. She's not going to win the Oaks or anything, but she certainly won. She's useful. She's good, and of course, Razzle Dazzle Maya is part of the furniture there now, and she's going to run a good race every week for sure. She is, yeah, and she won over any trip.
For the likes of those, they just need the draw to fall in their favour. They need the weaker heats and perhaps sneak through, and that's the way they progress.
Absolutely.
Moving on to Heat 8, and it ended up being a slightly muddling affair. Kilpipe Blue, as we said, Declan, last week, a very high-class maiden. Well, she's a maiden no longer. I thought she'd go a bit quicker once she led, but if you actually look back in the race, she clipped a couple of times. She held up a couple of runners. There was a few bumps. It was a messy type of affair. I thought Susie Sapphire lost nothing in defeat. I thought she found all sorts of traffic in it. She was still there pitching off the final bend. She's beaten a length and a half in the neck in 28.73. And if she had been reversed with Trap 1 Kilpipe Blue, she could have easily have done a 28.40, and we're still talking about a lively Oaks contender. So it was just one of those heats. It got a bit messy, but Kilpipe Blue is a maiden no longer, Declan.
Indeed, and no fault of connections because we hadn't noticed before, but the inside draw didn't suit her. It didn't suit her. She came straight out, and that didn't do Susie Sapphire any favors, And Kilpipe Blue, God, if any in racing deserved to win her first race, it was her, but she's going to win many more, The draw didn't suit her. She still ran a cracker. Tip Top Taylor came through late. Again, won probably once further, but it ran well. Susie Sapphire, mind you, is in a very tough heat next Saturday. That is going to be an interesting one. But she was a bit unlucky because Kilpipe Blue we hadn't noticed before. But the inside didn't actually suit her perfectly. I would say she's a middle seat, probably.
Barry, is this another one of the ones you put down to? She's a nice type. She won't win an Oaks.
I was more interested in Susie Sapphire. To be honest with you, I'm surprised how well she ran, considering how the race went, and her performance in the recent Puppy Oaks final was very, very good, and obviously she was drawn to perfection on that occasion in trap number 1, and I probably slightly underestimated her coming into the competition, but I could see her now developing into a leading player for sure. Much more to come. She's lightly raced, and she's one that maybe that might stand out as a possible winner. I could see her going a very long way in the competition.
Is she the youngest left in the competition? She's only November 19. I know Benabedina Roxy's in October. I didn't notice any others that young. Declan, did you notice anything?
I didn't, but funny enough, I mentioned her last week as a potential winner as well. She is, and she's running well, and she got knocked around a bit there, and she was still able to more than hold her own. She's with Owen McKenna. She's a lot going for her. She's a lot going for her, but she's in a fantastic heat this Saturday. Where something has to give.
She's November 19 because she's very young. She's the type you could imagine with a season behind her or something like that, where she might strengthen up and she could be a real star in 6 or 8 months' time. But obviously she's still there. She still has great ability. She's a big player still.
she could be a real star in 3 weeks' time. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. That's
know,
very true.
she's good enough, you know.
Galadriel, it probably does happen a bit too fast for her, Declan. And the long run to the corner was probably key to her success. And the night she did the 30.96 for the 575-yard trip, I'd say that will be her future. Tip Top Taylor did run on very well for Paul Ryan, and he does so well with these types. And his daughter, Droopy Sydney, she's only had the 13 starts. It was a nice display by her in defeat.
Very much so. Very much so. It was like the clock says 28.73, but they're all much better than that. You know, there was a lot of.
They were just getting each other, more like bumper cars for a lot of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'd ignore, for all the qualifiers, I'd ignore the clock there completely.
Yeah, we'll let Barry talk about the next winner. Ballydoyle Rossa, winner of Heat 9. I think anyone could tell from my commentary that I was fairly sure she was going to win after about 8 strides. Once she didn't just run into the into 4 at the opening corner, Santa's Jet, who I thought ran an absolute bowler in defeat. But Ballydoyle Rossa, you know, we know what she's about, Barry. She has immense pace and power, and I'd say you were fairly confident from the first bend.
Without a doubt, I was fairly confident when she drew track 1. Although I think you thought she might slightly prefer the middle draw. But in terms of that performance, look, my eyes nearly popped out of my head when I see her do 29.44 below in Curraheen Park for the 550-yard trip, which is easily the quickest time over that distance in recent times. We all see the performances, or the performance she put on in the, I think it was the opening round of the 600 when she chased home Billy's Diva, really caught the eye in that. Look, off the front, that's exactly what you would expect her to do. When it gets down to, we'll say, quarterfinal, semi-final stage, will she be found wanting in the early pace department? Probably, but you know, if she gets a run, she is going to be there, and I'd be fairly surprised now if she didn't reach the final. And P.O. Barry, he knows what he's doing with a greyhound. Spoke to him recently on a podcast, and you know,
it's not the first superstar he's had his hands on, shall we say?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Look, you know, and the breeding is there. Sister to Ballymac Cash Out. Yeah, look, she's going to be in the final, definitely, isn't she?
She'll certainly be in the latter rounds, barring bad luck. Declan, you know, we know she's about pace and power. She's going to probably have to do it from off the pace in the future when things start to heat up. But there's no question she has the engine.
Well, yeah, that's what I would have thought, but she was quick enough early doors on Saturday. You know, I mean, she's gaining experience all the time. She could improve in that department, and she doesn't have much improvement to make anywhere else. You know, I wouldn't say she's a certain finalist, but she's a potential winner. You know, she's an awful lot going for sure.
When you consider the likes of Beanie was doing 16 seconds, 28.23, this lady was 16.11. 28.17, so like she's a length faster on the line, and she's over a length and a half slower to the third bend. Just goes to show exactly how fast she is from that sort of third bend home.
Absolutely, she made a perfect start on Saturday. You couldn't step up on what she did. It was superb.
Yeah. Barry, we'll move on to Heat 10, Scooby Princess, another lady that you're a massive fan on, you'd be more than familiar with. She was, of course, imperious to the Limerick Oaks. This lady, she's April 18, she's just gone 3 years of age, and, you know, she's at the very peak of her powers. This is as well as she's ever run in the past. Even the other night, she took a couple of bumps. She just shook them off. Like, she just runs so professionally. She's so strong. She still does a massive run, 28.28, was it, or 28.29, off, you know, 28.28, and she's after taking a couple of bumps.
Yeah, I liked her last year, and when I backed her at fancy prices in one of the rounds of the Irish Greyhound Derby.
You and me both, brother.
I absolutely fell in love with her. You know, she posted a number of sensational performances in Cork too, in one of the stakes below. Their name escapes me at this moment. But yeah, look, everywhere she goes, she does huge runs. And, you know, she's a real superstar for Jennifer O'Donnell, and she's another one that's going to be involved in this competition over the coming weeks, and she's a lively player for sure for Outright Glory. Another one that would probably enjoy another 20-25 yards, as with many of the greyhounds at the top end of the market. And you know, it's just a fabulous competition. She's going to go close as well, and a lot of these leading candidates will have their eyes on the upcoming Irish Greyhound Derby as well. So it's going to be an unbelievable couple of months for sure.
Yeah, Declan, am I right in saying that she's probably developed? She was a bit inconsistent for the first sort of half of her racing career. I don't think the 550 is as dependent. I don't think she's as dependent over the trip as she was in her time. I think she's more professional. I think she just gets into her races quicker. I think the penny probably was late enough to drop with this lady. But if you look at her record, 13 wins from 34, which are a lot of those 13 have come in the last 6 months. I think she's a much better consistent bitch than she ever was before. I think she's at the very peak of her powers.
She is, and I agree. She will be a major player in the Derby as well. No question about that. I mean, ideally she would like 550. Ideally, it would still be her best trip, possibly longer, 5 to 5. But she's better over 5 to 5 than she was last year, definitely. As you said, like she's over 30 races now. So I mean, that's I thought she was trying to move out slightly, and Azabi was moving in.
Yeah, we did touch upon that last week. Like in Limerick from Trap 1, the night she broke, she was out in Trap 4 after 15 strides.
Yeah. I mean, I'm outspoken on it. She's not an inside seat to me, but she's an outstanding greyhound, And Burgess Macy got caught between the two of them on the run up. So
she was facing an impossible task. She did well to finish third.
She did very well to qualify. But Scooby Princess, she's top class. She's in Trap 4 next week. That won't be any handicap to her at all. She's buckets of experience. She runs the track well. She has an awful lot going for her. I agree with everything Barry is saying. I mean, I was hopping the ball last year. Could we have the Oaks over 550? Is there a case for it? And you would think, looking at this year's one, there is. But all the more reason why Ballymacbeanie is again the one to beat. Because I'm not saying she wouldn't get that trip either. She would. But she's a genuine 5-5er. Which most of the other main candidates here aren't. But you couldn't knock Scooby's Princess was superb. Swanee Chick back there again this year.
I was going to say, you're firmly in a fan club there. She's a very talented lady. There was much more spark about her run the other night.
There was, and again, she is over 30 races too, so they know the way around it at this stage, where a lot of the others in this, including some potential leading contenders, are still learning the game. These two ladies are, have a lot going for them. Scooby Princess, very impressive, yes, for sure. Yeah,
I feel for Tommy O'Donoghue. Zabi went out, and she had been the peak of her powers as well. This was her last chance at Noakes Team 17, and she just it just wasn't happening for her at that opening corner. She just lost all chance of qualifying. She ended up finishing 5th of the 5, 4th to qualify. Just so happens that she was the one that went out. Burgess Macy, as you said, was the meat in the sandwich early, but she ran well to qualify. And Moonstruck has been running very well for Sean Conway and David Buckley, and she was the 4th qualifier, doing 28.84 in defeat without the clearest of runs. So, there was some nice performers in that heat, but I think we're all in agreement that Scooby Princess is the one that could potentially go on to win the Oaks of the 5 of them, or 4 of them that are remaining. The penultimate heat of the round. This was where the last 2 heats were sort of where, there was nothing really standing out. We were sort of making cases for 3 and 4 runners in each of the heats, but Highview Secure, Declan, we had mentioned that she was likely to considerably come on for her previous run, 28.85, and she did. She popped out once again, a flying start, 28.65. She may come on for it again. She'll need to, but it was a fine run. Paddy Merriman and Jerry Merriman, we know exactly how their dogs run. They always come on for races. She was returning after layoff, and she did it well, popped out and made every inch of the running.
She was very impressive, and she won. It was tight enough at the finish, I thought. It was tight enough at the finish, but as you say, she was just coming back. But they're all top-class greyhounds, and you'd love to own any of them. But, the Oaks winner was not in that heat, I would think. The
second, though, Wishful Peril, it was only her 5th start. She missed the kick. She showed good early speed to turn second. She was always that 2 or 3 lengths behind Highview Secure, but she did stay on very strongly. Not the first member of this litter to catch my eye. This she's one you could probably step up in time, 550. 575, but she has plenty of ability.
She only had 4 races, so of course, the sky is a limit for her, but this is probably all coming a bit soon for her.
Yeah. Barry, Highview Secure, did it well. Anything else to catch your eye in the race?
No, I think he summed it up nicely there. Winner had been keeping good company at the back end of last year and made the most of a good opportunity with a likeable performance.
Yeah, we've pointed out before, she has a 28-29 on her card at Shelbourne Park. If she sort of returned to that form, well, you never know what might happen. I've no doubt that the leading contenders will be doing closer to 28 come the end of this, Oaks. On to the final heat. There's no question this was the messiest heat of the round, Declan. It was, it was hard to make a really strong case for anything in the race. It was one of those contests where you were looking for a bit of luck. In the end, I ended up siding with Trap 1 Sinfonia. I think she was desperately lucky, but she's going to be desperately lucky in this type of contest. She certainly wants further, but she was stopped in her tracks at the third and fourth bends where she was going through on the inside by the retreating Ballyglassmel. And in the end, Roxham Socks was in the right position to take advantage. And once she went to the front, she has form over 750 yards. She was always likely to get to the winning line, although Ballymac Juliet did stay on strongly, and so too did Sinfonia, who ended up going clear into the escape. No Oaks winner in this heat, but it's worth pointing out that maybe one or two of these will be better in better company. Does that make sense? Sinfonia strikes me as the type that would probably do a 28-40 in 28-20 class, whereas this race was won in 29-22 and she's doing 29-32. I just think she needs to get a run at them and the gaps to open at the right time.
Probably, if you're bringing one home, it would be Sinfonia. It would be. But she's a 5.75. Wouldn't take away from Ballymac Juliet. She's good, and of course, I'm delighted for Martin Annie with the winner. Great old stager.
A previous Oaks winning trainer, of course.
Absolutely, and it was a messy race. It was a disappointing end to the evening. No one's fault. It's just that sometimes it's just traffic. That's what happens. There's a couple of good greyhounds in there. Ballyglassmel, as you say, ran well. But the two to take out of it would be, I think, Sinfonia and Ballymac Juliet. But it would be hard to see either of them going all the way in this competition.
Yeah. Ballymac Juliet has been relatively lightly raced in recent times, but she definitely has ability. Barry, it was a messy contest. Sinfonia, for me, is the one I'd take because I love a stare. I think she'll end up in the Cornwall column.
Yeah, sure. She has some really good form in the book as well. So obviously there's plenty more to come from her. But yeah, look, it was a messy race then proceedings. But overall, it was a fantastic night of race, and I really enjoyed sitting back on the sofa Saturday night watching Talking Dogs TV. The previous couple of weeks I was on track at Curraheen Park, so it was great to sit down and watch all the action live, and fantastic production once again from all the lads involved. Well done.
Barry, you seem to be spending an awful lot of time on that couch. I'm getting a bit worried about you.
I know. So I was in Curraheen Park for the previous 3 weeks. So, I think I deserved that Saturday night. And, it was great to watch the opening round of the Oaks because, it was so exciting from top to tail.
Yeah, it's a great night's race. And when all 12 races are 12 heats, it's hard not to get sucked in. And, you have a great guide to the competition when they're all running on the same night. We'll go briefly through the second round because there's 8 heats, of course, 4 to qualify last week. It'll be 3 to qualify from here on in, Declan. Not much room for error. The opening heat, it's a tough start to the night for a few of them. Ballymac Gorna is the one that jumps off the page if she makes a similar start to last week. But Santa's Jet, Rockglen Swift, Highview Magna Galadriel, even Burgess Macy, they're all capable of a run. It all depends on what Ballymac Gorna does at boxes.
Yeah, she's the best one in it, but I was very impressed with Santa's Jet going up the other night, and that is the only potential fly in the ointment here. If Santa's Jet broke alongside her on her inside, she could make a race of it, but on all known form, you'd have to go for Ballymac Gorna here.
Ballymac Gorna probably wants that trap. That's probably her trap as well, Barry. Is it trap 3?
Yeah, I think so. Look, she's everything in her favour. It doesn't seem to be a whole pile of early pace. Maybe Highview Magna right out trap number 5. But yeah, everything points towards Ballymac Gorna victory next Saturday night.
I'll make a bold prediction in Heat 2, lads. I'm going to go for Billy's Diva to beat Swanley Chick. Anyone want to disagree with me?
That's very brave. Yeah, I would think you have it there. Yeah.
Barry, the change?
No, drive on.
Yeah, I think if she hits the lids there, lads, we could see 28 seconds rattled. I think the pace she showed the other night would suggest she's ready to go very fast again. On to Heat 3. No superstars, perhaps. Clona Sky, though, well housed in the fence once again. She'll need to hit the lids like she did last week because Ballycown Lexi will certainly fly to the corner from trap 2. She never seems to miss the kick. But Clona Sky probably too good for them all. Declan, would you agree?
I would. Yeah, all the early pace is on the inside here. That would enable Battle Cry to slip in on the fence in behind them. So she'll come with a run, but you would think Clonmel Sky, yeah.
Barry?
Yeah, it's drawn to perfection, but as you said, Ballycowan Lexi, for a local trainer down my end here, Dennis Fitzgerald, does go up very well. So wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Battlecry maybe came from off the pace. But look, from trap number one, Clonmel Sky will definitely start as favourite, no doubt.
Ballymacbeanie's racing from trap 4 in heat 4. I wouldn't be too worried about the draw. If she hits the lid, she'll be very, very hard to stop. I still can't believe that Highview Secured did a 203 and Ballymacbeanie did a 214. It just doesn't look quite right to me, Declan. I'd expect Ballymacbeanie to lead them a merry dance here.
She will. She should win from, I'd say, Corner House Lady and Highview Secure. Would be how that one would pan out.
I'm giving Right So Bella life on the outside.
Yeah, she did well last week in a tough enough heat, you know. But Ballymacbeanie, I think, will be away and gone.
Barry?
Yeah, she'll be away and gone, and she'll win the Oaks once again this year. There's probably like 6 greyhounds in this competition. I think, you know, for the earlier rounds, they're kind of unopposable. I think that'll be fair enough to say. Would you agree with that one? Or Owen, says I. Ian? You know where the one came from?
Yeah, the Oaks is a strange one. Over the years, you can sort of point out 6 or 7 in the round or two. There is something there lying in the long grass waiting to just improve out of all sight. It's happened so many times, Declan, in the past, you know, something that was seen as a 2860 performer before the Oaks, and all of a sudden she flies and gets her trapping in order and starts going bang, 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 quarterfinals, semi-finals, final. I just wouldn't be surprised if something happened like that, but there's no question there's 4 or 5 of them there that do stand out against the field.
Yeah, I would think Crossfield Fina could be if there is a springer in there, she could be one. As we said, Ballymacbeanie early on, she is definitely up there as well. It's probably more open than we realise, and as Barry was saying, a lot of them would prefer 550. So that how that will play out is anyone's guess. But at the moment, Ballymacbeanie, like, she's just professional. She does everything right every time.
Well, you mentioned Crossfield Fina. That's a perfect segue into Heat 5 because she's racing from trap 2. Declan, if your prediction's going to be right, I'll tell you what, she's going to have to do everything right. She's got Ballydoyle Rasta in 1. She's got Susie Sapphire in 3. The talented Cabra Ava's in 4. Moonstruck 5. And Frontamani out in trap 6. It's a hell of a heat. Like, this would do an Oaks final, or certainly an Oaks semi-final justice.
This is by 10 miles the best heat in Saturday. You know, Susie Sapphire now will really have to motor here. You know, she's plenty good enough. But Ballydoyle Ross in 1, will it come away quite as quickly again? You know, Crossfield again. Probably Susie will go up and Frontamani will come after her. That's the way you would see it. But it's a very tricky heat.
Barry?
Yeah, one of the races for the weekend, no doubt next weekend. Give Susie Sapphire plenty of credit for her performance in defeat last week, but you know, she's got a tough draw now outside Crossfield Fina. She's going to have to do everything right. 1 and 6 will qualify. You know, just a really tough heat. I'm going to sit in the fence here.
Don't be sitting on the fence. I think Susie Sapphire will take them along. Whether she's picked up by the likes of Frontamani or Ballydoyle Ross, I don't know. I think she'll qualify. Yeah, cracking heat that. Moving on to Heat 6, and here the interesting Ballymacart racing from trap 1. Yeah, hopefully she'll be a runner. You know, she is due to trial, should I say, in Toaster on Tuesday. If Ballymacart comes away on terms, she's going to be very hard to stop. Declan, Bella Medina Roxy will need to improve her starting, but she's clearly one that you could fancy. And Sinfonia, even though she has an awful lot to find on the clock with a number of her rivals here, you'd expect her to go considerably faster, especially if she can find a way to track in behind them.
Well, if you have any incentive not to go to Toaster, this draw and this heat is absolutely it. I mean, if Ballymacart is going to win the Oaks, she has to win this heat. Now, if she goes over to Toaster during the week, I think it'll happen. But as it's the minute that heat come up, she just jumps out. She was very good last week. Probably needed to race a bit, and will improve for it.
If you're offered even money, take it. Is that the way I see it?
Well, not if she goes to Tulsa during the week, because God knows. Look at the Martindale didn't get home. I mean, there was all sorts of red tape and everything involved. You know, so who knows? But yeah, she's the best one in that heat, and she should win it.
Liam or Shane Dowling, they'll talk themselves past customs.
They'll work something out. Yeah.
Barry, Ballymacart, she looks the part.
Trapped the line in 28-25, Ian. How does that sound?
It sounds about pretty regular with Ballymargard to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and look, as I said earlier, I think she's probably on best form. I think she's the quickest starter in the competition, and if she can rediscover some of that really, really good form from last year, she's going to go very close in this competition.
Yeah, I listen. I thought she rediscovered it last week. I thought it was a big run by her after missing the kick, and I don't think she needs to find all that much. Just just a trap, and I think she'll be away and gone. Moving on to Heat 7. This is one of the more open heats, shall we say, Declan. There's no superstars jumping out. Ballymac Biscuit did run very well behind Ballydoyle. Rossa Kilpipe Blue. She's in 2. She'll definitely move to the middle of the track. Kitty's Roddick is a good draw on the inside if she has the pace to make use of it. It's one of those heats where you wouldn't expect the Oaks winner to come from it, but it could turn into a cracking little contest.
Yeah, I probably think Kilpipe Blue will win again. Kishlon is much better drawn now in 4 than she was last week near the inside. It's not one of the top heats. Ballymac Biscuit is good, but you would think Kilpipe Blue should win this.
Anything to add, Barry?
Yeah, no, I probably agree with Declan. Time wasn't fantastic last week, but it was a messy race, and there's more to come. She'll probably back that winning performance up and make it 2 wins on the bounce. And
the final heat, well, we said about Scooby Princess moving to the middle of the track. She's out in trap 4. Now, she does have Black Eyed Alice to clear, but by all accounts, Scooby Princess, you would expect to be, if bookmakers were on site, Declan should be an odds-on chance and not a marginal odds-on chance. She'd be a 4 to 9 chance.
She would. She is very well drawn. I think she could afford to miss a kick here and still win probably. You know, she no disrespect to the other, they're all good greyhounds indeed. But some of them, as you say, are very inexperienced. Some of them would need Tiger Tempo needs probably 6 men to be at her best. You know, so Scooby Princess certainly should win that one. Yeah.
Right, and that concludes the 8 second-round heats of the Sporting Press Irish Oaks. Just looking at my phone because I was going to get the draw out for the next round of the Produce Stakes. Lads, did you take an eye on the action at Saturday night from Clonmel? Obviously, Barry, you were looking because you were watching Talking Dogs TV.
Yeah, I sure was. Sorry, no, just going back into that final heat, I have to give a mention to a local runner down here in Youghal, Trap number 1, Asheville Doll. She totally missed a kick last Saturday night, but I could see her qualifying on Saturday night coming. She's got a great draw in trap number 1, and I know it was a huge occasion for the Gary family. They had a lovely picture up of the pitch, and young Garrod Gary, Gerald's grandson, who plays a big part of their little operation at home, and they're closely related to. There's a strong connection to the Toomies, Liz Gould, who won the Sporting Press Irish Oaks a couple of years ago with Wooch's Bell. So I think it was just nice to highlight that when it was such a big occasion, and it's always great to see these lovely pictures of people and families putting it on social media of their grounds, and I think that's very important. So look, the very best luck to them on Saturday night. Coming back into the Produce Stakes, that's right, Ian. I was watching it closely on Talking Dogs TV, and it has developed into another fantastic competition this year. Thought Explosive Boy was very good, and great to see him back in form for trainer Patrick Ilfoyle.
Yeah, I have to mention, well done flying the flag for Youghal again. Asheville Doll. She has a 28.79 down at Youghal. They don't do that too often. But getting back to the Produce Stakes, Declan, Explosive Boy did return to some form, but Good Cody was the real flyer. This is only an October 19 whelp. He did 274, 15.76, which is sensational, and he still only wins a leg from Vallegro, 28.20. A hell of a run by Good Cody. John Kennedy is making a habit of finding these dogs.
I was just saying, he was incredible. Kennedy's, I think they're on the tip side of Urlingford is where I have them. But my God, yeah, very, very good. He was superb. Good Cody, Explosive Boy was back to near his best for Patrick Guilfoyle. Obviously, up here we're all rooting for Des and Mary's dog in the last season. I thought for a second we were in big trouble.
Very strange heat. Very strange heat. Yeah,
he got through. He got through fine. You know what I mean. So there'll be big interest in Shelbourne and how he proceeds going through. I felt sorry for Graham Holland in one of the heats too. We dogs tatted into each other at the back, and that was good night for them. But there'll be many other great nights for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, Graham still has a few runners. The opening heat went to Viper's Buzz for Kieran Hicks. This is a dog with an awful lot of pace, Declan. I can't wait to see him back in Shelbourne Park over 550 yards. He has won over the trip in the past, but by all accounts, he seems to have come on leaps and bounds since then. I think he could be made for the place.
Absolutely, and Kieran's dogs are absolutely fine this season, and this is one of them. Yeah, I must admit, I was a bit surprised to see him in that competition, but he's doing fine so far, you know.
He ran well in the Kirby Barry Viper's Buzz. He's a dog with a big engine.
Yeah, ran very well. Stayed on strongly there in the closing stages. Johnny Linton's dog, Court McChief, I think, set strong early fractions, but the winner was certainly a most deserving winner and a lively player now as we get down to the business end of the competition.
After doing a massive run the opening round, Deadly Destroyer, it's most notable that he did 16 seconds to the third bend and did 28-28 in the opening round. I think he's much stronger than we give him credit for, Deadly Destroyer. He ran into the back of Court McChief a couple of times the other night, cost him victory. He was probably going to get first run at that rival. He's beaten into third. He's still there. I think he's a big player in the competition, especially if he can come away running, but I think he's a real 550-yard dog for Shelbourne Park, Deadly Destroyer. Just wanted to point it out for Carl Ramsbottom. I think he's a really, really nice dog. I think he's come on leaps and bounds at the last while.
He's very good. He's a very good dog, yeah. But as you say, like a few of them, he is probably 550 dog.
Yeah. Good Cody was the dog that took off in the second heat. We mentioned 28-20. Valegro is another 550-yard type dog for Paul and Morris Heffernan. They really do. For years and years, they're churning out these nice types. And of course, they bred this one themselves. Valegro ran so well in the Kirby. And, was this the dog that missed out because
I think so, yeah.
The van broke down? So it'd be great to see him reaching the final of the Produce Stakes. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him at Shelbourne Park too. Certainly over 550 yards, and who knows, even 575, 600 in the future. A nice type cash return was in third there for Brendan Mansell. On to Heat 3, where we saw Explosive Boy returning to his very best. I would say when Pat saw the draw and saw Jacob Tashlek was inside, he had a shudder go down his spine, but Jacob missed the kick from trap 3 the other night, much to the delight of Explosive Boy's backers, and he made every inch of the running. Zoom again showed brilliant early speed to challenge him into the bend, perhaps even head him slightly into the bend. Riverside Chester was back in third. Explosive Boy, lads, he's just a real professional.
Is there still talk going on to Janini Starby at this stage? Have we been much, wouldn't it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that was ever really on the.
No, Patrick didn't sound too enthusiastic about it. I mean, he's clearly going to be a big player in the Boys Force Irish Derby for sure. He is. Yeah.
Zoom, Barry, you would have seen him down the Cork Super Sprint. He's a dog with tremendous early.
Yeah, he sure is, and ran well in the feet, but it really was all about Explosive Boy. It was a comfortable enough victory in the end, and he'll be chasing the Produce Stakes after coming so close to the Conall and Kirby Memorial. So there's plenty of early pace in this competition, and draw will play a huge part over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the final heat was so messy that we won't actually spend all that long on the Nitro Hero. Won well for the Pig Iron Syndicate and Graham Holland from the front. 29-21, however, there's, an awful lot of time needs to be found to challenge. In behind, it got so muddled. Agent Stanley did go through, though, Declan, as you said yourself. He's just a dog that finds a way, isn't he?
That could have been denied if he was going to go out. It was destined to happen, and he didn't. He didn't at all, and he hung in there, and he's a good second, and he ran well.
He's in 5. He's in 5 the next night. He's a better draw the next night. He might just break that bit better from 5 as well.
He might. In saying all that, the Nitro dog ran well, and I wouldn't take away from him either. I mean, they all met trouble of one kind or another. It was just one of those heats.
Yeah, it was. As we mentioned the term bumper cars earlier on, that certainly counts for this one. The likes of Navy Blue looked destined to qualify. So too the Jacks Little Thing, and even Go Premier. And they just all ran into each other at that third bend.
For sure.
If I had to get you to point your finger at one, Declan, what's going to win the Produce Stakes?
Explosive Boy.
Barry?
I'll go Valegro. I think there's plenty of early pace, and it just could fall into his lap. Just in terms of age and Stanley, I think he'll find it very hard if he's going to be getting draws of 5 and 6 with all that early pace on his inside, because, as I said, there's some sensational early speed. But I'll take a chance with Valegro, and it would be quite a story if he could go on and win it, especially after what happened in Limerick.
Yeah, I was just looking at the draw here. You're talking about there's plenty of early up against them. There isn't. There is next week anyway. Nitro Heroes in 1, Explosive Boy is in 2, Vallegro's in 3, Court MacChief is in 4, River Chester 5, and Zoom in 6. Vallegro could get a look at his rivals into the back straight and then pick them off one by one.
Yeah, hopefully, and that, as I said, that would be quite the story. It was so unfortunate what happened to Limerick. I don't know how someone could get over that. It would certainly break my heart anyway. So look, it's great to do them so well. And as you say, no matter what will happen, Vallegro is a ground that's destined for 550 yards at Shelbourne. He's just got sensational early speed. How did he get so close to good Cody after good Cody putting on, them sizzling early sections and 28-20? I was just gobsmacked with his performance in the field.
Yeah, big run. Just mentioned the runners in the second heat. Good Cody's in trap 1 after that stunning run last week. Deadly Destroyer, who we know can go up strong, is very pacey himself. Viper's Buzz, big winner last time out. Cash Returners in 4. Agent Stanley in trap 5. Probably suited by the draw. There's not, obviously Good Cody will go up fast and Deadly Destroyer will look to go up fast also. But there's not an awful lot of early speed around Agent Stanley in trap 5 and Rural Star out in trap 6. He needs to recapture the form he showed in the Rural Hawaii at Stud Unraced. Was a bit disappointing to Kirby, and it hasn't happened from the Produce Stakes, mainly due to traffic, but I think there's a big run them. I think Clonmel is still probably his track, but very interesting to look forward to both the second round of the Sporting Press Online Edition Irish Oaks and the Larry O'Rourke National Produce Stakes, a third round, of course, on Saturday night, semi-finals indeed. Great racing to look forward to, lads. It's been a crazy few weeks, and it's going to get even crazier with the English Derby starting soon. Hopefully we'll have an Irish success in that, but lots to look forward to. A busy summer ahead of us, Declan.
Bring it on. And can we soon have the crowds back, please? We really got to start talking about this now soon. I probably come on horse racing first. That's the way these things work, But look, because there's so much racing, great racing going on that people would just love to get to. But luckily enough, they have the talking dogs and they have so many ways that they can watch it, which is brilliant. But there's nothing like being there.
Yeah, we need the horse racing club to do the lobbying. They have a more powerful lobby than ourselves, unfortunately. But if they get back in, we'll get back in. Barry, I dare say you can.
Well, doing an awful lot at the moment.
They don't. I think we're I think the Irish owners and trainers are sort of more happy to sort of sit in their hands compared to the UK. The UK owners were doing an awful lot of whinging's the wrong term, but they were just sort of questioning. When can we get back? And all of a sudden they're back, and it was great to see some crowds at some of the football over the weekend as well.
Well, I was at the Curry yesterday, and why there wasn't 400 people at least there, out the open air standing around, and it's just now mind you, they were just they weren't, because it's like there was monsoons down there, you know what I mean? But it is hard to understand that we aren't getting some movement on it. I think the horse racing people, which I'm involved with myself, would really want to start moving a bit on this one.
Yeah, Barry, you can't wait to see the crowds back.
Can't wait. I was looking at the golf there late last night and talk about crowds. I don't know, the crowd chasing Phil Mickelson down the 18th hole there. I thought that was unbelievable. Yeah, but look, I've been fortunate. I've been racing in Youghal, during the entire pandemic that we have been racing. And, it's been very difficult on owners and stuff like that. But please God, look, they'll be back at the track soon. And, we've so much great racing to look forward to over the coming months. And, I can't get enough of it anyway. So as Declan said, bring it on.
Yeah, it's funny. We're talking about dogs here that we don't know how they're going to handle crowds, because there's some dogs racing now, some top class racing dogs that have won classics that have probably never run in front of a crowd. So it'd be interesting to see how they handle it when the crowds do come back. It'll be a new venture for all involved. But listen, lads, the sooner the better. But thanks for this morning. Again, to Declan O'Donoghue of the Sporting Press. Online on a Tuesday evening now, Declan. Lots to look forward to. And there's a deal on at the moment, isn't there? 4 episodes, or four copies for €6.
Yeah. And of course, and we're still in the shops every Thursday.
Good man. And Barry, thanks again. Barry Drake will no doubt see you before the end of the competition again. But that's it for us on this Talking Dogs on a Monday. We look forward to the second round of the Sporting Press Online Edition Irish Oaks. It looks like an absolutely tremendous competition. And of course, the semi-finals of the Larry O'Rourke National Produce Stakes. Some real stars in that also. But that's it for us on this Monday evening. Best of luck, and we'll see you soon.